welcome to Jadekind Gaming. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to be unboxing a brick of the Icons of the Realms Mythic Odysseys of Theros miniatures by WizKids. Pre-painted plastic figures. Each box contains a large or huge, and then 4 medium or small miniatures. A brick contains 4 boxes. There should be 3 of the rares amongst the brick. And really, just continuing to grow my collection of miniatures. Just rip off the plastic. And start taking a look. Ooh. Zoomed in for the figures, might as well. Take a look at the box first, though. The Odysseys of Theros. There's some of the fantastic animals, kind of like some of the largest that would be really cool to get, and a couple of the races that are in the setting that would be cool. Some of the Naiads. Yeah, so we'll take a look. Okay. So our large is just loose in there, and that is this, okay, on these clear bases. Thought Render Lamia. It definitely has some transparency to the figure, and you get like embedded glitter. Theros has sort of this star motif, like shadows become starlight in some of their more magical beings. So definitely things that, I mean, if you're not playing in the setting, it doesn't necessarily always make sense, but interesting appearance of things. We have an Acroan hoplite, so that Greek, whatever, Spartan, whatever, soldier kind of guy. So that's definitely one that, you know, there could be settings where that would be useful. We have this new text that is the outlines is not as easy for me to read. It's one of the captains, some sort of captain. Again, ooh, cool, cape design. You know, could be NPC, PC, sort of character figure. The Basilisk. Definitely a different looking Basilisk than the traditional D&D Basilisk, but Basilisk for this setting or other monstrous beast for whatever setting you need. Going into box 2. Ooh. So this set, even though it has the normal smaller boxes, does have some huge, large, huge size figures, but none of them that are giant. Emissary of Erebos, so one of the divines or whatever, which is obviously great if you're using it in this setting, but outside of this setting, that is a giant golden snake. And yeah, it's got some feathery tendril things or whatever, but I mean, definitely could just be a generic cool monster for whatever you need to use it for. That's a cool looking monstrous beast. So even if I don't use it for like their intended use, that's cool to have. Yes, okay, this is one of the ones I wanted. This is the Androwot Raptor, which is just to say metal bird. It could be like a familiar kind of thing, or like you think like the metal owl. was that Jason and the Argonauts? I forget. But anyways, so that kind of thing. I was like, that's a cool concept, so that's cool to have. Oh. One of the Nymph, the Naiads. We have water from the appearance here. So, which also just any sort of general water elemental figure this could be used for. And we have Triton, Master of Waves. Okay. Which is, you know, his pose definitely says sorcerer, but this could be used for Triton, kind of the legged merfolk people. So, could also just be that kind of NPC or player character. Box 3. I feel like when you open these, this should be the top, but in this set, it does not feel like it is. Okay. Oh, these are, what is this? Catoblepus. This was an interesting creature and story, whatever, in this setting. I'm like, it's outside of the setting. I don't know what to use it for, but it's a large, you know, bovine-esque type monster. So you got that. Yes. Okay. Said I wanted to get some of the races from the set, because even outside of the setting, I try and include the new races it opens up in many of my settings, so that my players have more options, and obviously more options for miniatures for my players to choose from is great. So Centaur Ranger. Yes, the beautiful blue painting, body paint. Yes, you have our little medium-sized mini centaurs for player characters. Glad to get that. A Night Hag. Again, going into this glitter starlight look, but it's definitely one that you could bring out into other campaigns. Very basic level paint job, but really the transparency and the stars is cool looking, at least. Oh, there's another soldier. Yeah, we have our human Paladin. So, my first thought was to compare it to the hoplite dude here, but obviously female. Same sort of headdress. Not as nondescript shield there, but cool figure all the same. And opening box 4 of 8. I guess I want to open it this way. And now it turns. Yes! Okay. This was my favorite of the rares. Okay. This one, and there's some cool rares in here in this set. This is the Iphonia the Cruel. She's like one of like the big bosses in the book, but she is a Medusa, which in general could also is one that I could look at and see like, oh, I could bring that into some other setting and use that as a big boss there. And so it's got this giant stone backdrop. Whatever. It's basically just making it look pretty, but definitely interesting snake texture. It's got all the tendrils. Just an interesting color scheme for a Medusa, because I always think of that, you know, very much that greenish, and this is almost like a little teal, but going into blue. Beautiful. Beautiful figure here. And so that's one of the rares I was Yes, so that's very happy with that pull. We have a returned, which is one of the undead types within the setting, and these masks, which outside of the setting you can also use this as some sort of NPC or cultist or whatever. So it would work in other things outside as well, of course. We have our Nymph Lampard. I do not remember what this nymph is of, but you can see the transparency and bits of the stars in this because they're part of Nyx, the night sky. Oh, no, there's a difference. If this wasn't part of a larger set, that would be kind of a saddening level, because we have whatever. I first pulled the returned Palamite and then the returned Sentry, which basically have different color cloak. But otherwise, that's two very similar figures. But as I said, if you're using them for like cultists in another setting, that's great. And box 5, we're past our halfway point here. Yes. Another good pull. Oh man, that is a large scale nightmare. I mean, for a humanoid figure, like even for like the horse sized figures, like this nightmare is a giant nightmare. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with that. And it's also, of course, instead of having the traditional flames, it has this black shadow on this nightmare. So definite different looking nightmare. Very pretty. And that's one that's just useful in any setting, so that's good. Another of these. I got a couple of those now. Okay, this is Ghostblade Eledon, so the undead that comes when the returned come back. It's what their spirits kind of come as. And she'll need some bending back to her upright because she keeps trying to lean over. Definitely feels like a very messy paint job on this as well. Oh, two-headed Cerberus. So just a little medium Cerberus here. You could also work, of course, as a death dog if you'd like. So that's an option for that too, if you want to use it in another setting. Box 6. Okay. What? I mean, what? I'll take it, but I've never seen this before. Okay, maybe it's not always one large or huge, because this one has two larges. And two that I like. Awesome. Okay, so, water marks on the bottom of this. But this is a griffin, with a cape, interestingly enough. But obviously griffins can be in any setting, so this is a great one to pull because it works well for many other games, so that's an exciting one to get. There's also no plastic thing, these are just in bags. And then this is the Abhorrent Overlord. I guess the other... There were a weird number of... Like, it wasn't, like, divisible by 4, the size of medium or large rares in the set. So I'm wondering if that has to do with it, because this is one of our rares. So I've gotten a couple really good rares. And again, on this rare, there's these crows or ravens behind it, like sort of almost like a decorative base. And again, this is like whatever, one of the fiendish beings within the setting, but also it's some sort of bat-winged demon or devil guy that, like, you could use him, you could make him, like, he could be a big bad in whatever setting you have. You could make this is the figure that represents some greater evil. So that's a great one to have. This is, so far, this is like a best single box. Leonin Iconical S, which is to say basically one of the Leonin figures, so another catfolk, the lion catfolk as opposed to the tabaxi, another player race figure, so I want to get more of those, of course. And then is this? Let's see. A Nymph Dryad. So Dryads can of course appear in multiple settings. Obviously this is a little more this is obviously the worst of the 4 figures in this amazing box, but even it can be used in multiple settings and is continuing collection of the different nymphs in this set. Yeah. So get into our penultimate box, which I don't believe it's possible for another box to live up to what that last one just provided, but you know what? We got this and one more. So we'll of course keep going. Although this is still turning to be a great box, because this is another one of the creatures I wanted to get. This is a chimera. But this is like an albino chimera with an eagle, a unicorn, whose horn is bent, and like a ram, a lion ram, like a dragon's tail. Yeah, definitely interesting, different take on the chimera, but I think there's even like a chart to make your own chimera in this setting, so you're having variety of them, and this one looks different than the traditional. Like some of these wing feathers are like bent in weird ways, but I don't think they're necessarily supposed to be. But they don't necessarily look bad. It looks almost like it's like in process of flapping. I don't know. Hope we get our Nyx Fleece Ram. So definitely one that is more specific to the setting. I guess if I wanted to make it more generic, I could just go paint over all the star appearance on the fleece and make a generic ram if I wanted. Oh, great partner for the first of our awesome rares. Well, this is just the normal uncommon Medusa, so obviously much smaller than our rare Medusa. With this massive headdress, still beautiful texture on the snake skin on these. But yeah, so another Medusa. What is this? 36 of 45. That's going to be our last rare, and it is Celestian Hero. Okay. So she's got this blade that she's swiping up, and you have like this transparency effect, like to show this swipe of the blade. Interesting choice. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it, but still looks cool. Could make for a cool, hero figure if you need it. And our final box. Okay, not bad. This, like the golden snake, is an emissary of Theros. So this is the emissary of whatever the water goddess. So you get your shadow bits that are embedded glitter and transparency, but then you get just general giant crab. And because it's all in the shadows, like you could pull this off just as a normal giant crab if you need to. That's a cool generic monster to have. Okay, a Nymph Dryad. So this is the fire nymph. Did I get all of them? Pretty close, if not. Because there were several nymphs in this set, and I've gotten two of that one, 4 different ones, I think. So, not a bad little grouping there. 5 different ones. Nymph. This is the wheat nymph, like the fields of grain. And I think that might be all of them now. So I think I might have gotten all of them. Because they weren't super exciting other than the idea of getting the whole set. And I think I might have. Okay. And a Leonin Swiftclaw. So another of the Leonin. So for our catfolk options, I got a couple. So that's cool. And that was actually a very exciting case. This is, this set is a couple sets ago, and ultimately it was sort of on the list of, yeah, I'd like to pick that up, but I kind of waited for it to be on sale, and it got a good sale, so I picked it up, and I am super excited with what I pulled. Because there was a fair bit in, half the set was only somewhat interesting. But like some of the things where there were all these nymphs in there, and I'm like, do I really need that? But getting a full set of them means that I can have a campaign that involves a number of nymphs, where they're having to go out and, parlay with the nature spirits. And now that I have like a whole set, that lets it be more than just a single encounter. That lets it be sort of a theme throughout a campaign. We got a number of player characters, normal people, but also like we got the Triton, we got 2 Leonins, we got the Centaur. So figures from the races that were in the book to be able to use those. We got a couple of the cool little emissaries that work for like giant monsters, giant animal monsters. We got the Griffin and the Nightmare, which were both uncommons, and so I was pretty hopeful that I would be able to pick those up, as well as the Chimera, as just generally useful in whatever campaign I'm running figures. But then also for our rares, we got our large rares, we got the Medusa, which was like my single pick of the coolest rare in there, and then also our second one was the demon guy that I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to use them for, but that could either of those can be big bads for campaigns, and they have like background features on their base that sort of make it decorative. So yeah, I'm actually very happy with what I pulled from that set. That turned out very good. On a set where it could have gone either way, I'm very pleased. But yeah, let me know. Comment down below which one was your favorite, or if you're familiar with the set and one of the ones that I didn't pull you think is better than any of these. Let me know. Subscribe if you've not already done so. Like the video. That does definitely help. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.